Listen. I want you to hear me now. I want you to really hear me, because I know what you're thinking. I know where your mind is at. You're wondering, you're questioning, you're feeling it in your gut, but you just don't have the proof. You want to know, you need to know. And I'm here to tell you, yes, he's thinking about you. But his pride, that pride of his, that ego, that stubbornness, that fear, it's holding him back. It's got him locked up tight, got him in chains, got his mouth shut and his hands tied. Now, let's talk about that. Let's talk about that, because this right here is a story as old as time. A man, a heart full of words, full of feelings, full of things he wants to say, but he can't, he won't. Why? Because pride, my friend, pride is a heavy thing. It's a wall, a shield, a weight on his chest, and it keeps him from dialing that number, from sending that message, from knocking on that door. But don't you dare for 1 second think he's not thinking about you. Don't you doubt it. Because late at night, when the world is quiet, when there ain't no distractions, no noise, no people pulling him left and right, guess what? You're there. You're right there in his mind, sitting in the front row of his thoughts. You ever just be walking somewhere, minding your business, and then suddenly, boom, a song plays and it takes you back. Takes you right back to a moment, to a place, to a person? That's happening to him. Oh yeah, that's happening to him every day. He hears something, sees something, smells something, and there you are. There you are, right in front of him, clear as day. But does he reach out? Does he say something? No, because pride is whispering in his ear, telling him to be strong, telling him to hold his ground, telling him that if he reaches out first, he loses. But let me ask you, what exactly is he losing? You see, this world, this life, it's moving fast, too fast. 1 minute you got time, the next minute time is up. And yet here he is, sitting in his own silence, stuck in his own head, letting the days pass by. And I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, why doesn't he just say something? Why doesn't he just put his pride aside? And you know what? That's a good question. That's a real good question. Because let me tell you something about pride. It's tricky. It'll make a man act like he don't care when he does. It'll make him cross his arms and turn his back when all he really wants to do is pull you close. Pride is a liar. Pride is a thief. It steals moments, steals chances, steals love. And yet he's holding on to it. Holding on to it like it's all he's got left. But don't you think for 1 second he ain't feeling it. Oh, he's feeling it. When he sees something that reminds him of you, he feels it. When he scrolls through his phone and stops on your name, he feels it. When he lays in bed at night and stares at the ceiling, replaying old conversations, remembering your laughter, thinking about what he should have said, what he should have done, oh, trust me, he feels it. But here's the thing. You can't force him. You can't push him. You can't make a man see what he ain't ready to see. That's not your job. That's his journey. That's his battle. Because pride is a battle. It's a fight between the heart and the ego. And right now, his ego is winning. Right now, his fear is stronger than his courage. But one day, he's going to wake up and realize something. He's going to realize that the moments he let pass, the words he didn't say, the chances he didn't take, they're gone. And the pain of that's going to be heavier than the pride he's been carrying. So what do? Do you wait? Do you hope? Do you sit by the phone? No, you don't. Because listen to me now. Your life, your time, your love, it's valuable. It's precious. And you don't waste it waiting for someone to figure out what they already know in their heart. He's thinking about you, that's a fact. But his pride, that's his problem, not yours. You ever walk into a room and feel something in the air? like you can't see it, can't touch it, but you know it's there. That's what's happening right now. That's what's been happening, and you feel it, don't you? That pull, that energy, that connection. It ain't gone. It ain't disappeared. Just because he ain't saying it don't mean it ain't real. He's thinking about you. Oh, trust me, he is. You ever have a moment where you hear a laugh and it sounds just like theirs? Or you see someone in a crowd and for a split second your heart jumps because you think it's them? That's happening to him more than you know, more than he'll ever admit. He's going about his day, doing what he does, but then, bam, there you are. In a song, in a scent, in a random conversation that shouldn't mean anything, but suddenly means everything, because it reminds him of you. He could be sitting with friends, acting like he's good, like he's fine, like he's moved on, but then someone says something, a word, a phrase, something small, and just like that, his mind drifts. He zones out. He ain't hearing what they're saying anymore because his thoughts are somewhere else. And that somewhere else, that's you. He picks up his phone, scrolls through his contacts, stops at your name. Maybe he even types out a message, just a simple, hey, but then he stares at it. And what does he do? He deletes it. He locks the screen. He shakes his head like it never happened. But it did. Oh, it did. And it keeps happening over and over again. Late at night, when it's just him and his thoughts, when there's no distractions, no people, no noise, he's thinking about you. When he lays down and closes his eyes, when the world quiets down and he ain't got nothing but his own mind to keep him company, that's when it hits him the hardest. That's when the memories come flooding back. The way you used to talk, the way you used to laugh, the way you used to make him feel. And that feeling, it don't just disappear. You think he don't check up on you? You think he don't wonder what you're doing, where you are, who you're with? Maybe he don't ask, but that don't mean he don't care. That don't mean he don't notice when you're not around. Because, oh, he notices. He feels that space, that absence. And no matter how much he tries to act like he don't, no matter how much he tries to distract himself, that feeling stays with him. Maybe he thought he could just move on. Maybe he thought time would make it easier. But time don't erase real connections. Time don't erase real love. It just makes you realize what you lost. And he's realizing it. Slowly, surely, piece by piece, moment by moment. But will he say it? That's the real question, isn't it? Will he let those words leave his mouth? Will he let himself be vulnerable enough to admit it? That's where the struggle is. That's where his pride comes in. But make no mistake, whether he says it or not, whether he acts on it or not, whether he lets that wall down or keeps it standing, he's thinking about you. Every single day. Pride is a dangerous thing. It's quiet, it's sneaky, and it's got a way of making a man think he's doing the right thing when deep down he knows he's not. It whispers in his ear, telling him to stand his ground, telling him to hold back, telling him that reaching out means weakness. And weakness, that's something he can't allow himself to feel. At least, that's what he tells himself. But let's be real. What's really stopping him? What's really holding him back? It's not just pride, is it? It's fear. It's that deep, unsettling fear of what might happen if he lowers his guard. If he lets you know the truth, if he lets himself be vulnerable, because vulnerability, that's dangerous in his mind. That's risky. That's unpredictable. So what does he do? He pretends. He plays it cool. He acts like it's all good, like he's fine, like he's moved on and nothing phases him. But that's a performance, a script he's sticking to, because admitting the truth, that would mean admitting that he was wrong. That would mean swallowing his pride, dialing that number, saying those words, putting himself out there. And to him, that feels like losing. But losing what? That's the part he doesn't even understand. Losing what exactly? His pride? His ego? The illusion of control? Because let's be honest, he's already lost something far more important. He lost you. He lost what you had. And deep down, no matter how much he fights it, no matter how much he denies it, he knows that. And yet, he still won't break. He still won't give in. Because pride is stubborn. It won't let him be the first to speak. Won't let him be the first to admit he misses you. Won't let him show even a crack in the armor. He could be staring at his phone, fingers hovering over your name, heartbeat just a little bit faster, brain screaming at him to just do it, just say something. But instead, he locks the screen and puts the phone down like it never happened. Because in that moment, pride wins again. And it wins every time. He wants to reach out, but doesn't. Every time he sees something that reminds him of you and pushes the thought away. Every time he hears your name and acts like it doesn't affect him. It wins every time he pretends he doesn't care when in reality, it's the only thing on his mind. But see, here's the thing. Pride is a liar. It tricks him into believing he's protecting himself when really all he's doing is building a cage around his own heart, a prison of his own making. And the longer he lets pride win, the harder it gets to break free. The more time passes, the more he convinces himself that it's too late, that the distance is too great, that the words he should have said back then won't mean anything now. But deep down, he knows that's not true. He knows all it would take is one moment, one message, one phone call, one conversation where he lets go of the act, where he drops the walls and speaks from the heart. But pride won't let him, not yet, not today. So he waits, and he suffers in silence. And the longer he waits, the heavier it all becomes. Because at the end of the day, pride may keep him from admitting the truth, but it doesn't stop the truth from existing. And the truth is, he still cares. He still thinks about you. He still wants to reach out. But his pride just won't let him. You can't make a man see what he ain't ready to see. You can't force someone to feel what they're too scared to admit. That's the hard part. That's the part that'll keep you up at night, thinking, wondering, questioning. Because deep down you know he cares, you know he's still there, still thinking, still feeling. But none of that matters if he won't act on it. You ever try to pull someone out of quicksand? The more you reach for them, the more they sink, the more they fight against you, the deeper they go. That's what happens when you try to force someone to see what they ain't ready to see. You try to pull them toward clarity, and all they do is push back. Because they ain't ready. They ain't willing. They're too caught up in their own pride, their own fear, their own ego. And that ain't your burden to carry. That's his battle to fight. You see, people will wake up when they're meant to wake up. Some people need time. Some people need distance. Some people need to lose something before they can understand its value. That's just the way it is. You can't rush that process, can't control it, can't manipulate it into happening sooner just because you want it to. And I know that's frustrating, that's painful, that's unfair, but that's life. You ever notice how people don't see what they have until it's gone? How they don't appreciate what's in front of them until it's no longer there? That's what he's dealing with. That's what he's struggling with. Because in his mind, there's still time. In his mind, the door is still open. Even if he don't walk through it, even if he don't knock, he likes knowing it's there. He likes knowing he could reach out if he really wanted to. But see, the problem is he's assuming that door is always going to be open. But it's not. At some point, life moves forward. At some point, people move forward. And he's going to have to face that. He's going to have to wake up and realize that time, don't wait for pride to catch up. That love don't sit around waiting for a man to decide he's ready to act like he cares. And you can't sit around waiting either. Because what happens if you do? What happens if you keep hoping, keep waiting, keep putting your life on pause, thinking that one day he's going to wake up and finally say what you already know is in his heart? What if that day never comes? What if he never finds the courage? What if his pride wins? then what? And you can't live like that. You can't keep looking back, waiting for someone to catch up to a moment that's already passed. You can't keep giving your energy to a battle that ain't yours to fight. You can't keep hoping that one day he'll be the person he should have been all along. Because at the end of the day, love is a choice, not a feeling, not a thought, a choice, a decision to show up, to step up, to speak up. And if he can't make that choice, if he won't let himself make that choice, then what are you supposed to do? You walk forward. You let him fight his own battle. You let him sit in his silence, sit in his pride, sit in his regrets. You let him figure it out on his own. Because this ain't your lesson to teach. This is his to learn. Your time is valuable. Your love is valuable. And if he doesn't see that, if he can't act on what he knows in his heart, then that's not your weight to carry. That's his burden, his loss, his lesson to learn. You see, too many people waste their lives waiting for someone to change, waiting for someone to step up, waiting for someone to finally say what they've been thinking all along. And in that waiting, in that hoping, in that longing, they forget themselves. They lose sight of their own worth. They put their own happiness on hold, thinking that any day now, things will be different. But days turn into weeks, weeks turn into months, and before you know it, you've spent all this time looking back instead of moving forward. And for what? For a man who's too proud to send a message, too scared to pick up the phone, too stubborn to admit what he knows is true? That's not love. That's not devotion. That's not what you deserve. Because let me tell you something about real love. Real love doesn't hide behind pride. Real love doesn't sit in silence. Real love doesn't let time slip away without a fight. A man who truly values you, a man who truly understands what you mean to him, doesn't let his ego make the decisions. He doesn't let his fear dictate his actions. And yet, here he is, pacing the floor, staring at his phone, reliving old memories, thinking about you, but doing nothing, absolutely nothing. He's trapped in a war with himself, a battle between what he feels and what his pride allows him to express. And right now, pride is winning. But you can't let that be your problem. Because while he's sitting there stuck, you have a life to live. You have dreams to chase. You have happiness to find. And you won't find it looking over your shoulder, waiting for a man who refuses to meet you halfway. You ever think about how much energy it takes to wait? How much emotional weight it carries? The late nights, the overthinking, the wondering, the what-ifs? That's energy you could be using for yourself. Energy you could be pouring into your own joy, your own peace, your own growth. Because the truth is, you're not the one who lost here. He is. He's the one who let something real slip through his fingers. He's the one who allowed his pride to build walls where there should have been bridges. He's the one who stayed silent when he should have spoken, who let you walk away when he should have fought for you. And maybe one day he'll realize that. Maybe one day he'll wake up and feel the full weight of what he let go. But by then you'll be gone. By then, you'll be too far ahead, too deep into your own happiness, too free from the past to turn around. And that's how it should be. Because you deserve more than waiting. You deserve more than pride-fueled silence. You deserve more than a love that's too afraid to speak. And when he finally sees that, when he finally understands, that'll be his regret to carry, not yours. Life moves forward, with or without the people who were too afraid to keep up. You cannot wait for someone to find the courage to say what you already know is in their heart. You cannot waste your time hoping that pride will lose its grip on a man who refuses to fight against it. Because love, real love, doesn't live in silence. It doesn't hide behind ego. It doesn't wait for the perfect moment. It shows up, it speaks, it acts. And if he won't? If he lets his pride keep him stuck, if he chooses silence over sincerity, if he allows fear to win, then that's his burden, not yours. You walk forward, you keep moving, you live, because the truth is, you were never the one who lost. He was.